So first of all, when we first decided we were going to Kansas City, one of the main things that I told a trade man, I was like, hey, we're going to the Negro League Museum, and the reason why I've always wanted to go is because I've always heard bits and pieces about the Negro League. You never really meet anyone who just knows a lot about, the Negro League. So when we got the opportunity to get there and go, and it was awesome. When I tell you it was one of the best baseball experiences of my life that I've ever had in my lifetime, and it was just like that. We got the opportunity to, when we walk in, to hear Mr. Bob, talking about Satchel Paige being able to throw 105 miles per hour, and then, Ron stuck around and he talked to him, and we were actually able to get a tour from the president himself. So, we learned a lot about the museum and learned a lot about the Negro League that we probably would have never learned just because the president just happened to be there at the right time. We learned that the first night game was played in the Negro League. We learned that the Negro Leagues was selling out MLB stadiums. We learned that the Negro Leagues were the first people to ever go to Japan. And this is stuff that I never knew. I never knew how many Hall of Famers that they had. I never knew, the complexity of, the Negro League. I just always looked at it as, black people getting together on Sundays playing baseball. I didn't realize it was as organized as it was. I didn't realize, that they really had, different leagues and, also, the way that they were treated. I never knew. I always thought that they would play somewhere, where they were accepted. I didn't know that they were going into cities and towns where, they couldn't even get a hotel room. They couldn't even get a sandwich after the game. You know what I'm saying? So that, to me, motivates me a lot, to be able to know that I can go to different places. I'm allowed to eat at different places, stay wherever I want, and also play the game of baseball, because just like them, they were playing for, pennies and dollars, and, they were still out here traveling, playing the game that they love.
Man, when I say the best experience I've had, that was by far one of the best. Thinking you know everything, and then you go and you find out you don't, and you go and you find out all the other people who put in work before you, means a lot. And to hear the stories and to see it. I didn't understand, I just knew Satchel Paige, Jackie Robinson, but I didn't know Jackie Robinson wouldn't have been Jackie Robinson if these guys don't go to war, right? So, just learning things like that, I'm thinking Jackie Robinson probably one of the best baseball players, but no, he made the team by default, right? So learning things like that, man, makes you think and makes you understand the process of what all we did. So it's an awesome experience. I'm glad our kids got to experience that, because as a kid, if I'd have knew that as a kid, I'd have took more pride into it. But now that I know, I'm just trying to keep teaching and kind of just make their work not go in vain, if that makes sense.
Hey. No, you hang on to go.
He won't hang.
Look at his phone.
Put it in your thing.
What you been doing?
Leave him alone.
There you go, man.
What's up, man?
For anybody that can tell me who played on this.
Satchel Paige. Josh Gibson. Guess what? Jackie Robinson.
Come on now, Deuce. That's why you my boy, Deuce.
You give me that.
Come on. Oh, I forgot about the 5. I ain't got 5. That's when they would. You see him? Yeah. That's the youngest person ever playing Negro League right there.
How old is he?
How old he look?
12.
Wow. He's 14. He's 14.
He's 14.
First, and then
What number is Satchel Paige?
5, man?
What 5 jersey?
Yeah. What team? Had the St. Louis Stars and the Eagles.
but they show y'all
What, like right here? It show you on the board too.
Atlanta, Georgia had the black crap.
But look though. If you look right there, that show you where the Negro League was. It was only like right there in that part of the. So it went from Houston. There was no team past Houston. Because you got to think about it, in the early 1900s, them was all the states where black people could really mingle and not get killed. Like, you could this many teams. It's a lot of teams. A lot of teams, bro. I bet you they gonna have some crazy stuff back here, bro. I know they finna have. I want to see some originals, like a glove. It's a team.
Monroe, Louisiana.
Y'all know who I would have played for?
Why ain't nobody ever told us that?
That's what I see. I'd have played for the ABCS.
What it is?
I don't know, but we'd have kicked everybody's ass. I'd have played for the. He sound good. Hey, I've been in that thing. How you doing? I'm Devin Barnes, owner here at Barnes Academy here in Alexandria. We actually just got back from Kansas City. If you're ever in Kansas City, man, definitely check out the Negro League Museum. Definitely holler at Mr. Bob, shoot him an email, shoot him a direct message on Instagram, and just tell him, Devin Barnes from Barnes Academy sent you. But
for an opportunity to get your education, and if you're blessed enough that it takes you to go play professionally, that's beautiful. But you never stop loving it. And I think a lot of times we as fans can get a little fickle because we equate everything in our society to money. And so because the young athlete can make a great living playing the game, we don't think that they love the game as much as the guys from yesteryear. Yeah, they do, because they're still playing the game that they played for free when they were your age. And if they had to play it for free, they still play it for free. So tell my young guys, you will never see a greater example of love of the game than you do when you walk through this museum. They had to love it in order to endure the things that they would have to endure. It wasn't uncommon that they could ride into a town, fill up the ballpark, but then not be able to get a meal, couldn't get something to eat, or wouldn't have a place to stay from the same fans who had just cheered them. So they would sleep on the bus and eat their peanut butter and crackers until they could get to a place that might offer them basic services. But as I shared with my young athlete, they would never allow that to kill their love of the game. So their spirit was, if I've got to sleep on the bus, and if I've got to eat my peanut butter and crackers, I'm going to keep playing ball. And really, that's the spirit that you feel when you walk through the museum. I think a lot of times people think that this is going to be a sad story because of the fact that it is based on segregation. And segregation was a horrible chapter in our country's history. Once upon a time, everything in this country was based on the color of one's skin, baseball being no exception. So what happens? The guys said, okay, well, you won't let me play with you in the major leagues? I'll create my own league. And that's exactly what they did. They created the Negro Leauge right here in Kansas City, right around the corner from where we operate. The Purcell YMCA, that building still stands. That's where the leagues were formed in 1920. And it's that feel when you walk through this museum. As you make your way through this museum, you're going to meet some of the greatest athletes to ever play this game. And that's how you'll hear me describe them as great athletes, because they could have played anything. But see, back then, basketball and football were really more or less considered collegiate sports. Even though you had eventually an NBA and the NFL was in existence even before the NBAs, they were still looked at as collegiate sports. So really, if you were going to make a living in this country, you played baseball. If you're going to make a living playing a team sport, you played baseball. So the Negro League were drawing the greatest athletes to ever play this game. Matter of fact, in my opinion, that is what we're missing from our game today. When I tell people that Jackie Robinson's weakest sport was baseball. That was his weakest sport. He was a much better basketball, football, track athlete than he was a baseball player. and some say an even better tennis player. So there was nothing that Jackie Robinson could not do. But when people ask me, was he the best player in the Negro League when he became the guy to break the color barrier, the answer is no. And that doesn't take anything away from Jackie Robinson. It just speaks to the immense talent of the players who played in the Negro League. And so as you make your way through the museum, you're going to meet a lot of those legendary athletes.